Okay, so guys, welcome back. It's 2025. To some parts of the world, it's January 1, but well, guess what? I'm in the future. Anyway, guys, it's 2025, and what's happening in our favorite space? When I say favorite space, I meant gaming. And of course, where are we going to get the latest on what's happening in our favorite gaming space or space? If I say gaming space, then it means there are other spaces within the gaming space. Ah, okay, it doesn't matter. I'm not making any sense. Anyway, let's go check out what's happening. Okay, what do we have here? Cringe fluff? Flop? I read that wrong. I said pluff. Okay, so pluff is very different from flop. Imagine, imagine having just by changing the position of two letters changes the meaning of the word. So it's flop, not pluff. And what is this? Sweet BB client wanted the modern audience. It did not. It did not what? It did not work. I will know. Okay. But first, let's go check this one out from Endymion. Says here, players demand gender swapped heroes in Marvel Rivals. My question is, from the title alone, based on the title alone, is who are these players? Who are these players? Are they the majority of those playing Marvel Rivals, or is it just one or two players complaining about it? Seriously, I never understood the reasoning or the reason behind the idea that those who those who are the loudest are the ones getting their way. It should be the majority, but in the internet, it's not the majority. It's those who are the loudest.
Hey, it's Endymion, and today I want to talk about some stuff surrounding Marvel Rivals, like new leaks and moronic demands by so-called fans. Hey, that rhymed. That was not
This
my
game, by the
voice. As
way,
well as how other studios are currently falling apart at the seams.
it won't
Bad
run
games
on
like
my
this
PC
come with
just based on
significant
the
risks.
minimum system
Instead, I
requirements.
also
I
want
could
to talk about
try.
the ever-looming reality
Probably it will
that this
run,
industry and its
but
totality is absolutely heading
I
towards a
haven't
giant
really
dominant future.
tried it
And whether this
because
takeover
again,
of the
my
industry
PC
is
is
soft
way
or
below the
maybe
minimum
shifty at
system
all, let's get
requirements
into it. Firstly,
needed by the
obviously,
game.
Rivals is just blowing up still, man. It's doing insanely well. Many are now confidently stating that this game could indeed be the Overwatch killer for real this time.
Look at
Although
that.
most fans always
Look at
said
that. A
that the only
game
way to kill
with
Overwatch was
nice
Overwatch
looking,
itself.
the
But
good
now that doesn't
looking,
seem to be
the
the
beautiful
case, as
looking
all we got was a
characters.
cool hero shooter that didn't pander to completely eat up the entire community.
Even the
Yes,
ugly
Season 1
characters
is right around the
look
corner at this point, and
good.
there's plenty of new modes that are coming to the game. One of these is going to be Capture the Flag, except according to leaks, the flag won't actually be a flag. But instead, it'll be the Infinity Gauntlet that everyone who's watched Infinity War and Endgame and read the comics would obviously know it from. This mode will apparently also include some sort of mechanic involving the Infinity Stones as well. Would be cool if each team had their own gauntlet and then the flag, so to speak, was the stone themselves. And then you would collect them and bring them back to your gauntlet, to slot them in. And then the first team to fill up their gauntlet can then have a player put it on and snap their fingers, erasing the other team for a win. Just a thought, but it would be cool, but we'll see. There was also this really interesting find by this user on Reddit who posted a video, as you're seeing on screen here, showing how certain heroes in the game, from Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Magic, Star-Lord, and Venom, all have identifiable weaknesses based on the FPS of the player's machine. So as you can see, if your FPS is high, your movement isn't only more fluid, you're genuinely faster than someone else in-game with a lower FPS. This includes damage too, where enemies die faster if they get shot by someone with a higher FPS than they do. Some players have claimed this means Rivals is pay to win, as the more money you have in real life to make your computer better, or whether you play on PS5 Pro or not, I guess, somehow means you're getting an advantage, which I mean, yeah, kind of. Although I don't think this is players' faults, of course, it's the game itself, but this problem of higher FPS means more damage has always been a problem in online games already. To put the blame on each player is not really fair. Maybe Rivals needs a capped frame rate that is easily achievable, of course that being 60 FPS. Please, for the love of God, don't ever be at 30 FPS if possible. But it's wild to see how different the times are between FPS when it comes to things like damage in game. This is undoubtedly something that NetEase needs to fix before long, otherwise players with weaker hardware are going to boycott the game if they keep losing, and then they'll claim it's the FPS and not their skill, which will definitely turn into a discussion that will fall out of whack very quickly, and then everybody will of course start arguing about it. It's best to avoid that scenario if possible, so hopefully NetEase fixes that. This brings me to this post on Rival Steam forums too, that ended up getting deleted, but it was too funny not to share, and it's titled, "Gender Swapped Heroes in Season 1 Are Necessary." Yeah, you can imagine this didn't go over too well. Here's what this user said. "Hello, I think I speak for the large community to say we don't like playing certain heroes because of the
Large community. I wonder how large the community is.
should have gender
Again, my guess is it's just
to not discriminate against people
one or two
play
people.
those heroes but not their given gender. We want to play Doctor Strange, but he is too masculine for us. We want a female swapped version with the same kit as him. This will allow everyone to play equally. Hopefully we can get this fixed for Season 1. Yeah, this will never happen ever, because of the logistics behind it, never mind the ideological nonsense too. Imagine having to cater to people like this. I mean, it could be a troll of course, but regardless it's still funny. And the thread was rightfully deleted and shadow banned into the nether realms, because I'm sure the conversation didn't give any good feedback that was worth keeping. But seriously, this can never happen. Firstly, because Rivals would need to make variant versions of every skin available now. Not to mention change the body types. Doctor Strange alone would be a nightmare to do this with. Not to mention, if they did Hulk for example, they would have to add a bra to every single character skin that he has, plus his super form too. And his Bruce Banner form would have to be changed as well, although I'm sure this sort of thing would make the 20 people out there who would unironically want this happy, that are probably also communists, that have zero money themselves and will never buy a single skin or battle pass in this game. It's a good idea to avoid these things altogether. I think we can all agree. They already tried a hero shooter with pronouns and it died 2 weeks after launch, and I think people know where I stand when it comes to gender stuff like this. I think Rivals could have easily been a terrible game filled with identity politics, but it does seem, at least to some degree, that Disney is listening when it comes to Marvel. Star Wars, yeah, not so much. That franchise is on its own island, so to speak, when it comes to changes. But Marvel can be saved in a movie and video game sense at least, although of course Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac was not a good look for Marvel, as it ruined the hero and the momentum of that game's world almost entirely. But of course things like Deadpool and Wolverine prove that fans just want movies and experiences in general that harken to the things that they love, rather than what the identity political freaks and weirdos out there are demanding instead. Rivals is a clear example of what can be achieved if you cut the nonsense and then stick to your strengths. I think this one user put it perfectly as to why they enjoy Rivals over Overwatch. Because this game is more fun, and I don't have to be swarmed with they-them heroes and maps filled with rainbow flags. And they're right. Again, I doubt you'll see any of that in Rivals. Well, maybe, I don't know. Disney could ask NetEase to do some sort of celebration during Pride Month in Rivals. I hope not personally, because all that will do is piss people off, and I don't think adding a rainbow Spider-Man skin or something is a good idea. But at the same time, NetEase is Chinese, so I doubt their rules from their country would allow them to put those things into their games, regardless of the property. It's going to be a really interesting and weird dilemma to see which side caves in come Pride Month in 2025, or whatever other stupid made-up celebrations and flags that try to weasel their way in too. But I do think that what Rivals has achieved is incredible in such a short amount of time too, because again, the West is falling apart, both ideologically and in terms of their entertainment. Recently, you had a company called Heart Machine. It's an indie dev studio which was known for Hyper Light Drifter. They announced that they're launching a Patreon to now support their studio. Their latest game, Hyper Light Breaker, doesn't come out officially until 2025, but the studio is already hit with layoffs and they are bleeding money. I should probably also tell you that Hyper Light Breaker is 100% Sweet Baby infected. I mean, if you go look at their website, Breaker is right
Okay,
for all to see.
I guess
The owner of the studio had to release a video
I guess
on the official YouTube page
that was the reason why
for money to keep
they're out of money.
it's
They gave their money
it's kind of sad.
to consultants,
You would think they could lock
consultants
from actual
who
investors. Well, I mean they probably
don't
do that with
who
ease.
doesn't care about whether they
But the
succeed or not.
people supported Rivals, which defies what Heart Machine here adheres to. And what Sweet Baby does to companies is crazy. Look at these comments, man. I won't read them all, but you can see them on screen right now as I scroll through them. And it's just endless comments of people saying you shouldn't have aligned with Sweet Baby, get the modern audience to buy the game, I identify as non-binary, always love that one, it's a classic, and many more. Like, the more that I scroll, the more I can see how Gamergate 2 has had a resounding effect on everything within games. And as I've said many times, players need to make their voices heard, and it's clear that you are all doing just that. You have a game here that is the antithesis of something like Rivals or Space Marine. A game that harbors and champions everything players dislike about games these days.
It is not rocket science. I don't get it.
It comes out in like mid-January 20.
You don't antagonize your customers.
You're aligned with
You give,
and there's zero
well, not always, because
partnership.
as they say, people can be stupid.
It's that little
But if the request is reasonable and it's coming from your core audience, you know, those guys
years ago, and I thought
who,
fine for what it was, not really
or those gamers who are playing or played your games,
or anything like that though. And personally, I don't see Heart Machine surviving this at all. At best,
you give them what they want, not what the consultants want. Because again,
and then they got
these consultants
from ground zero.
or those consultants are not the ones
Like I say so many times,
buying your games. They're not the ones
and make games
playing your
the
games.
real audience will show up like they
They are there to
would have been dead already had they
get money from you
heroes in their body.
and then
Women look like
go away.
artists drew them or something. I know the games industry is pretty
Whether your game succeed or not, they don't care.
new standard going forward. And by new standard, I mean uglier female characters, weak feminized male heroes, and so on, but the proof is in the results here. Every game that pushes stupidity dies, and every game that gives people what they want is thriving. For years, you would have people say they're superhero fatigue, superhero movies are over, and so on to explain the failure of these projects, but it isn't true. There really isn't any superhero fatigue. There is only a fatigue of bad products that aren't cool or fun to engage with. Rivals bucks this trend in tremendous ways. If there was a superhero fatigue, then why has the game reached over 20 million people in less than a month? I don't know, man. Doesn't sound like fatigue to me, that's the problem. It's wild to think that so many of these things that have failed or will fail in the future never had to have that reality become true, had they just realized that all the nonsense they were being fed by consultants and the Sweet Babies were nothing but a grift to get these companies to pay these consultants hundreds of thousands of dollars to ruin their games in order to push a narrative they deemed more important than profits or player satisfaction. The other big killer of a lot of these projects is toxic positivity. It's creating cultures within games where problems are not allowed to be called out for what they are. And in turn, this allows these problems to fester and bloat until they eventually become far too large to remove. Concord was like this. Sure, Rivals has issues too, but it does seem at least the skeleton of which Rivals operates in has enough meat on its bones that it can reasonably fix itself if any one problem becomes evidently clear that they need change. The demand to gender swap heroes is ridiculous. I'm confident it won't happen. I more so believe if Rivals wishes to continue their success, they'll keep their aim towards the golden era of Marvel Comics and ensure that each character looks and feels like their true comic book counterparts. For an example, Herman Hulst, who unfortunately runs PlayStation right now and was a big supporter of Concord, had an interview with
I guess if they want to kill
Hulst
the
reciting
game,
what Herman Hulst said in
they
the
could
video.
do that. They could gender swap
Herman was
characters.
that Sony PlayStation needs to make things for players and not what they would call the modern audience anymore. And this, of course, ties into the fact that Sony is committed to live service games. After all, Helldivers 2 is doing what it's doing right now, and they, of course, want more of that. Rivals as well has been killing it on PlayStation, and Sony knows that if they want to continue this lucrative streak, they need more Helldivers and exclusive partnerships like they have with Rivals over that of Concord's. Famitsu would ask Herman Hulst, on the other hand, Concord was discontinued in about 2 weeks and the closure of 2 studios. Neon, Koi, and Firewalk Studios was announced. As the corona disaster settles down, I assume that the game's business is undergoing rapid changes. Are there any changes in your strategy for live service games and mobile games as a result of these studio closures? Herman Hulst would respond. The game business is constantly changing due to a variety of factors, including technological advances, new genres, and new ways of playing games. The one thing that has not changed, however, is people's desire for a great entertainment experience, and the focus on games continues to grow. But with that comes competition, and like many companies in the industry, we have had to make changes to our business in order to solidify a more sustainable operating base. We will continue to focus on developing live service titles along with the story-driven single-player titles that our players demand. Since live service titles are released on multiple platforms, the key to success is how to attract new players and increase the number of players. Therefore, maintaining momentum at the time of release and broad player adoption are especially important in the live service sector. It's obvious that Herman saw the writing on the wall and has realized that you can't make money with identity politically driven content anymore. Helldivers got ruined for a few months there because of woke community managers and piss-poor communication and big nerfs on viable builds in-game. It has since, for the most part, turned things around, and I think Rivals can be considered in that upper echelon of live service royalty too. Because besides the brand recognition, it's obvious that the games industry can no longer afford these massive budgets if these titles keep failing. Things that cost millions must make millions in return. Rivals or Helldivers, I have no doubt, has been insanely profitable already for NetEase and Disney and Sony as well. And with all the leaks floating around for Rivals, from Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, and even characters like Hitmonkey and Angela coming to Rivals 2, it's clear that they have a vision for this game going forward. Whether Rivals becomes an esports game, I don't know. But like I said in my other Rivals videos, I don't personally believe chasing esports is a viable option for survival when it comes to a live service game.
From what I've read,
Casual fans and ensuring that there's a fun and rewarding gameplay loop.
esports is not actually profitable.
When it comes to live service titles, it's almost no longer
They are basically marketing machines or used to market the games to build up hype
platform going
and interest and excitement for the game, but it's not entirely profitable. Well, it's profitable for those participating in it, the professional gamers, because whether the event makes money or not, they are paid.
Rivals release. I really do.
They are guaranteed payment. It's like with game development.
And it's not even
The game developers are paid salaries.
to an extent.
So whether the game makes money or not, it doesn't really matter to them because they already got paid.
Games to do as well.
But of course, it matters in a way because if they want to continue having jobs,
Of course, Rivals
they need the game, or they would want the game to succeed.
Avengers Doomsday, and especially Secret Wars and Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland releases, they will absolutely have skins and exclusive events and cosmetics tied to these projects as they happen in real time. Rivals is uniquely positioned to cater specifically to a mega fandom in a big way, and it's really nice to see that they're not ruining the characters' looks or anything over this, so far anyway. Apparently, Rivals will respect even characters that have similarities between them too. For example, Rivals will not have a Falcon skin for Captain America. Instead, Falcon will be his own character at some point as well. The same goes for Iron Man and War Machine. He will eventually join the game at some point too, so I fully expect someone like Miles Morales to join Rivals too. It wouldn't really surprise me if the rumors of Miles Morales being in Spider-Man 4 end up coming true. And then Rivals could announce and then implement Miles into their game when Spider-Man 4 is getting advertised. I think we can all agree that would be a killer cross-media 4D chess move on NetEase and Marvel's part. Bring in Miles, then make his MCU outfit a purchasable thing, and then add the Spider-Verse outfit to as a cosmetic. Yeah, they'll make a lot of money. If Marvel is smart with this and doesn't let activists in, they could have their own Fortnite, so to speak. I mean, I know I'm reaching here, but let me cook. I would love a Marvel Ultimate Alliance-esque game mode with beat-em-up style gameplay with these heroes and Rivals. Imagine gaining Battle Pass XP and leveling up while fighting hordes of AIM robots or Doombots or Chitauri aliens, and you get to use all of these heroes just like you would in the Ultimate Alliance games. It would be immensely satisfying and fun. Then you can expand the mastery stuff attached to each character, and then put exclusive content to unlock by playing it. Oh yeah, I would definitely love that. There's so many cool ideas that could be done here. People would play it like crazy, even more so if it had co-op, which I mean, let's be real, Rivals already has that implemented to begin with. What I'm saying is that this game has endless potential pretty much. With an already strong core gameplay loop and base, the possibilities are quite honestly endless for what they can do, and I think it's fair to say that what Disney has on their hands here is a game that can and will likely exist for years to come, assuming they keep supporting it and ensuring that no activism gets placed inside of it. Clearly, there's a big push though, since Rivals has already confirmed it's going to partner with other Marvel-related products like Snap and more, as you can see here. They're doing everything they can to ensure this game takes off, even doing some things that are, well, weird. For example, recently people discovered you cannot say Winnie the Pooh on Rivals in-game chat. It's actually banned if you try. If you somehow don't know, this is because there were memes made about China's president who regularly gets made fun of for looking like Winnie the Pooh, and no, I'm not kidding. Is this censorship? I mean, yeah, it is, no doubt.
I don't get it. They say the president of China looks like Winnie the Pooh. I don't see it.
Most of you didn't even know about
I feel like it's an insult to Winnie the Pooh, actually. It's more of an insult to Winnie the Pooh than an insult to the Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party president.
development industry, and they will probably be far less money to use than the Western developer salaries in comparison.
My guess is Winnie the Pooh is
Supporting Rivals will undoubtedly make China more powerful.
out there mad for being
This is a good thing morality-wise in the long term, as it stands.
for being compared to
Is that games
the
like
president of China.
are succeeding not because they're Chinese per se, but that they're giving players what they actually want. I've said this aplenty already, but if the West doesn't get their act together, China will eventually own the gaming industry completely. There's no doubt in my mind about that. They just keep winning. They keep giving players what they really want while the West crumbles under ideology and rot. Unfortunately for Western devs, they have been
Which is quite ironic.
to believe
You'd think that China would be the one spreading their propaganda
not, but the stuff
through the games, through their games,
to unlearn how
or through the games they make.
it cannot be undone for many of these.
But instead, it's
if you're based, you cannot.
it's the West.
The world as a
It's the West who is propagating the.
there's a million genders.
I guess the idea here is, you know,
When these weirdos demand you to reject
the
real for the fantasy in their brains, well,
the communists
pushes back and rejects it.
took over the universities and colleges in the West,
China's devs, which are likely more,
and now
and those
those who graduated from those colleges and universities are
independents and nonsense.
taking over Western industries,
All this will end up doing.
and the West is now like losing money,
Ones who reject it can
while back in China,
people online discuss that
they're the ones making games or entertainment that doesn't have any of this propaganda. They're just making entertaining games, so they're the ones getting all the money,
comes out on top.
while the West is losing money.
Political angles both of these games adhere to. Now more than ever, games have unfortunately become very politicized. Supporting one game could mean that you're pro this side. Heart Machine with Hyperlight is a great example of this. People aren't supporting them because they're relying with Sweet Baby. The quality of the product, the fidelity of its visuals, none of it matters because the principle in which it all adheres to and sits around is largely considered something unsalvageable and not worth supporting. Therefore, if it fails, it comes as no surprise due to the circumstances surrounding it. Yet with Rivals and Overwatch, it's the same. Hyperlight is like Overwatch, but Rivals is more like Space Marine 2 or Witcher 3, in how its politics or agenda is presented, which is mostly non-existent if we're being honest. The gaming industry is at a turning point where they have to choose to sink or swim. Sony may be turning things around somewhat. We'll see how that goes in 2025, but I think as my last video of 2024, even though this is coming out on January 1st, 2025, the reality is that this year has taught me that the ideologies is where these kinds of futures go to die. People are sick of the nonsense, they have become accustomed to closing their wallets in response, and no amount of Patreon begging, finger pointing, or calling someone a bigot will do nothing but keep digging the grave ever deeper still. Rivals like others,
The bigots are calling others bigots.
is really going towards great games with an ever-looming Chinese takeover that is undeniable
Nice.
no matter how you slice it. That window is closing fast, and then the industry will have to pick a lane sooner rather than later. I just wonder.
Okay, so that was Endymion. That was like 10 hours ago. This is quite new from Rev says Desu. Let's going to check this one out.
Hey, what's up, guys? Up here. So, new year, same old Sweet Baby Inc. Because it took
It's Sweet Baby.
in its first set of
It's an award-winning team of writers and narrative designers who help make stories better.
parallel to one another, where basically you have a company or studio
Really?
who partner with
Really?
Sweet Baby Inc. And then they found
Weird.
projects and the studios themselves are now struggling mightily. Now, it is a new year, like I said, and I want to take this opportunity, just 30 seconds here, to remind you guys that my limited edition Christmas drop with my wife, Darling Straub, and her VTuber model is still alive for a little bit longer. You can see the art concept behind all of this, the wall art. You can also get these stickers and these pajama pants. Very cute stuff. But on top of that, because it's a new year, and I know a lot of you guys are trying to improve your health and fitness, you're going to be going to the gym more, I can't recommend enough their flavor jars, especially their energy type flavor jars. You can see the new one, the peppermint vanilla. You can check out that one or other ones listed on their website, but it is a great alternative to pre-workout or coffee. It gives you the same energy boost without the crash or jitters that come with those other sources. And to keep it cool all day, we have these various ice shakers here. You can get the big jug or the regular ice shaker. I'll put a link to this in the pinned comment. And as always, make sure to use code REV at checkout to save 10% off your total order. Now let's get into the first story involving Sweet Baby. So we got here because of a report by Master of the TDS and his wife Raven Redgrave on their Gothic Therapy channel. I'll put a link to that video in the description. You can check them out. But they made a discovery. They found another connection between a publisher and Sweet Baby Inc. Now, who is it? Well, unfortunately, it's Devolver Digital, which is kind of a letdown for a lot of people. A lot of people like this publisher, but yeah, as you can see, they're caught up in the Sweet Baby mess. This is a publisher who has released a lot of big hits, including Cult of the Lamb, among others, but none of those hits, they pale in comparison to the latest banger here, The Crush House. This is going to be the game we're talking about today. You can see this is modern audience approved, okay? The bright colors, the ugly character designs, the forced diversity, and on and on and on. And you can see just in the background, I mean, this is all makes sense, right? Not only the game itself, but also the people, the influencers they got to promote this. It's just the usual suspects. But anyways, this is the description. Film and produce 1999's hottest reality TV show, The Crush House. Select a crush-worthy cast, satisfy voracious audiences, and keep the show on air to uncover the sinister secrets behind this darkly comic thirst-person shooter. Thirst-person shooter. Very interesting phrase there. But yeah, pretty much everything associated with this game is very strange and cringe, as you can see by this video playing in the background here. But on top of that,
Uh,
their own account
I don't see
stuff like
anything.
this. For a few seconds.
Rating the crush house kissing animations. Elegant kiss.
Okay, I don't see the characters.
Regular kiss.
Yeah, you get it, right? This looks like it was produced by TikTok itself. It's very cringe. On top of that, this game and its developers have a weird obsession with something called dog milk, which is a very subtle innuendo they're going for here. In fact,
Whoa, are they insinuating bestiality?
to make this, they paid influencers like this. It's a paid partnership to make this dog milk monstrosity.
Maybe it's not dog milk. Maybe it's dog shit.
Sweet baby. It all makes sense, right? And here is the connection that was discovered. It involves this person, Maxine Sophia Wolf, who is a transgender writer and narrative designer at Sweet Baby Inc. Now, this is the image from our source video here. This is the connection, a LinkedIn post where they say they liked working on the narrative design of this wild game, referring to the Crush House, of course. And yeah, that's really about it. You got the connection there. And now you think, what happened? How did this game perform? Oh no, they got modern audienced. Yes, 8 in-game.
But it has a mostly positive rating. Yeah, from the modern audience. Again, guys, I've said this like many times. There is nothing wrong in making games for the modern audience. There's nothing wrong in making games for the LGBTQ++++ community.
Pretty big
There's nothing wrong.
into that.
But there's also nothing wrong
And you can see the downfall was very quick.
if normal gamers don't want to play it.
At 360
There you go. There's nothing wrong at all.
down to around 20.
You can choose to make games like this, and gamers can choose not to play them. Sure,
Fun of it. Who knows?
there will still be players playing it because
In a very bad
obviously there are
because a lot of
gamers who are part of the LGBTQ+++ community and are also the modern audience. We can't deny that. But
don't play
the fact is,
reveal the connection and people refuse to support
they are a very small percentage of
yesterday.
gamers.
They failed on their own based on the quality of the game. People just didn't want to tune in. So
Nothing wrong.
Sweet
You
Baby
can make whatever you want.
of death.
Just don't be surprised if only a few people
It still shows its
play
in other ways.
your
It's
game.
just proof of that. People don't like anything associated with them, and even the quality that comes out, it's pretty obvious it's something that's influenced by Sweet Baby or other woke consulting firms. Now, also this same person, this narrative designer over at Sweet Baby, they would also make a couple
Now, if that is the goal,
people involved with Alan.
if the goal is for regular people or gamers not to play the game, then
As a huge
it is a success.
partnership. They haven't even
You can call it a success if that was the goal.
has not gotten its number yet. So
Also, if the goal is not about making money, but it's kind of weird because
well over a million.
that is not the definition of what a business is. A business is created to make money.
With
So it's more like a charity than a business.
that, okay.
And there is nothing wrong with that. If you want to start a charity,
Into that, this was announced recently that PlayStation
more power.
is now
There's nothing wrong with starting a charity.
to the
The
PlayStation
same with nothing wrong with
for January.
games for the modern audience.
It's been literally less than a year since this game released, and it's
There's also nothing wrong for gamers not to play them.
Plus group here for January. Again, their servers, their live service.
There is a thing called free will.
So that was
Everyone has it.
So now while we're here talking about Sweet Baby, let's cover another situation that was covered by Smash JT about 4 days ago. He made this article and a related video on this topic. I'll put a link to his video in the description as well if you want to check out his channel. But I want to cover this because it's another Sweet Baby disaster, another Sweet Baby kiss of death. So here is the headline: Reeling Sweet Baby Inc. partner Heart Machine begs for survival on Patreon. That is the look of the average person who worked with Sweet Baby, just completely crushed, soul crushed by the results of that partnership. But as he says here, I mentioned Heart Machine a few weeks back because their studio was on the verge of falling apart after mass layoffs, and oh boy, it hasn't gotten any better at all. Known for titles like Hyper Light Drifter and Solar Ash, their recent move to launch Patreon has left many fans feeling betrayed, and the reasons are pretty obvious as to why. With their struggles are real and their passion for game development is clearly undeniable, the overall response from the entire gaming community has been overwhelmingly skeptical, and for a good reason. So as we can see here, the connection was made with the Sweet Baby website here. They listed it back in the day, and you can see that they worked on Hyperlight, and that connection was something that really damaged the studio, who, like Smash JT said, they seem like they're passionate and they actually enjoy what they're doing, but man, they just weren't doing the right things, I guess, and one of those wrong
Again, there's nothing wrong with that. You can be passionate,
DI connection was not working.
but the fact that you hate your customers,
Now you have this person coming
it
up
will have an effect.
to their audience about this, and
You don't antagonize your customers.
I'm Alex, and I run Heart Machine, and we're here to talk about the Patreon. So, state of the industry, not great right now.
What are you talking about?
Expression that humans have ever
If the state of the industry is not great, why is Marvel Rivals thriving?
made at all, let alone.
Okay,
And now
that is